How to choose an investment area. Hi guys, just before we start, just want to ask if you could subscribe. The amount of people I actually speak to and they say, actually I meant to subscribe but I forgot because the video carried on. So while you think about it, hit that subscribe button and the bell now. If you've watched this channel for long, you know that I'll just tell you as it is, straight talking, and tell you everything that I know about property so that you can have your investing journey shortened and be more successful. So let's talk about this. Hi guys, so a lot of questions from you guys to ask how to choose an investment area. So what is the best place to invest in? Which part of the country, which town, and all that good stuff. Well, first of all, you need to determine what your strategy is. So your strategy might be cash flow, or it might be capital appreciation. It might be both of those. So you want monthly cash flow, but you also want, a decent appreciation. Then other parts of your strategy might be you want to invest in different types. So the types, we've got HMO, serviced accommodation, we've got single lets. Then of course you've got things like refurbs and flips. Then you've got some fairly specialised strategies like commercial to residential conversion. Oh, one thing I forgot off this one here is you might want to invest in brand new apartments, like in Canary Wharf. Okay, so we've got there, from a monetary perspective, different types of strategy, cash flow, capital growth, or both. And then from a different type of property perspective, we've got new apartments, HMOs, serviced accommodation, single lets, refurbs and flips, and commercial to resi. There's obviously, a few more, but these are the main types, okay? So if we look at the first one, so cash flow. So if you want cash flow, monthly cash flow, then the best place to invest will be undoubtedly in the northeast of England, because there you can get properties for 50 grand and you're going to get £500 a month, okay? So if it's cash flow you want and you're not bothered about capital appreciation, there are some places in the northeast of England where prices haven't appreciated for 10 years. Okay, so if you would have bought there in the last 10 years hoping for capital appreciation, you would have been out of luck. Okay, however, for some people that they just want monthly cash flow and they want an income, then great place to invest. Okay, so the northeast of England, cheap houses, 50k, around about that price, and you'll get really good yields. You'll get £500 a month rent. So if you think about it, if you've got a 50k property and you're getting £6,000 a year gross on rent, that's a really good return. Okay, now not everybody wants to have cash flow, and so that's fine. You can go to different areas of the country. Okay, so you can still get some good areas where they're relatively cheap, so 60, 70, 80,000 pound in lots of different areas around the country. Okay, so parts of the Midlands, Liverpool, Manchester, in fact any kind of place, any suburbs around a big city apart from London, you will find some of these cheaper properties. Okay, now when I say any city, I'm typically talking up from the Midlands up. If we go to Oxford, in the suburbs of Oxford, you won't find any properties for £80,000, okay? But typically from the Midlands up in the suburbs of the cities, you will find properties that are cheaper and that will cash flow really well. Like Wales, for example. Wales, there's some cheap properties in Wales, and, in particularly in the smaller towns and villages, really good. You'll get good yields, so you'll get good rent on them, but just be wary about investing in those types of places because there'll be less demand, okay? I can tell you that if you stick to some of the cities from kind of Birmingham and north, some of the towns and cities, Stoke, Stafford, Manchester, Liverpool, Nottingham, Leicester, Derby, all of those towns and cities have great demand prices are relatively, they're relatively cheap, and you will get your monthly cash flow. Okay, so that's how to find, or not how to find, but that's where to kind of go and look for. Yeah. How would you find them? Initially, if you're out the area, then the only option really open to you is to do a Rightmove search or a Zoopla search, or search some local agents, Google some local agents in the area, and then find what properties are for sale that way. The other way is you could go to auctions. You could, again, you don't have to visit the auctions, but you can go and look at the auction catalogues for, there's an auction at Manchester Airport, for example, that's held every, I think it's every month or 6 weeks, but there's an auction there. You can go and look in that auction, download the catalogue, and find properties that way. Okay, so the other, if you want capital growth, well then, this is kind of where we need to have a little bit of a crystal ball, because we don't really know what areas are going to grow. It varies every year. Okay, historically, London has always been very good for capital growth, but I think that market is now it's a bit overcooked. With COVID, we've got people pulling out of London. We've got there's less demand for rentals. There's a masses of amounts of new builds, particularly new build apartments down there. So I think at the moment, I personally wouldn't look in London unless you've got a few million spare that you want to invest in that area. So capital growth, the best place, as I say, historically was London, but there are other great areas. There are areas, what you need to do is look at upcoming areas, okay? So find out what's going on. So pick an area. So for example, the HS2 line, okay? So look at all of the towns along that line, okay? And I can tell you that, when that goes ahead and it starts getting built, all the prices of those houses along the railway will increase. Many years ago, when the M6 toll road was being built, we bought properties near the junctions of where it was being built before it was built. As soon as it was built, prices went up, we sold them on. While we were waiting for it to be built, we just rented them out and just sat on them, okay? The other good thing is Starbucks. If there's a Starbucks opening up, it's an upcoming area. Starbucks don't just go and open a Starbucks for the sake of it, okay? They spend hundreds of thousands of pounds researching areas where they think that it's going to be up and coming. And if a Starbucks has opened and people can afford to spend £5.60 on a coffee, that area is kind of up and coming, and that there is some money in that area, okay? So they're good areas. You'll get good capital growths on those. What else have we got? Okay, so again, really, that's going to be in some of these up and coming areas, or some of the existing areas, like the suburbs of Birmingham, for example. You can get both cash flow and capital appreciation. Suburbs of Manchester, Liverpool, any of the, Derby, Leicester, Nottingham, those types of cities and towns. Okay, so next let's move on to the types of property. So I'm just going to do these in any order what springs to mind. So for example, first of all, commercial to resi. So those areas are traditionally going to be that were old areas where we had industry, okay? Because where we had industry and now it's moved, offshore, or it's gone to China, or, it's not beneficial for us to make it anymore. You've got lots of empty buildings, okay? You've got offices that once used to be there. You've got light warehousing and light industry that used to be there that are now empty. They can't be rented. Even more so at the moment with COVID, we've now got high streets that are becoming deserted. We've got retail premises with storerooms above that now, not now, but in the next few months, I think that the prices are going to be really, attractive, really good. So you've got high street retail units that are lying empty with storage above. Okay, most of the retail units don't have flats above. Okay, so you've got lots of empty first floors. Okay, so you can pick up these at bargain prices, do a commercial to residential conversion on them. So even if you don't convert the downstairs, you could convert the first floor. Maybe split the downstairs into 2 retail units and rent them out for a smaller price. Lots of things you can do on this, but forgetting the high street, if you just look at kind of towns where they once were industrial towns, so places like what we would call the Black Country, so Dudley, Wednesbury, West Bromwich, all those kind of former areas where once it was very industrious and it's not anymore. So there's lots of opportunity there for commercial buildings to be converted. Lots of companies have gone and they just haven't been able to re-rent them out. So lots of opportunities there, and that will be the same all over the country in areas where it historically was a manufacturing town or city. Okay, so we've done that one. So things like, if you are a person that likes to have brand new apartments and rent to, the affluent, kind of high-flying people in a city, well then any city you could pick really. So Birmingham, there's some really expensive apartments there. In London, Canary Wharf and the Docklands area. Manchester. So all of the cities will have some very expensive and normally new or relatively new apartments, okay? So if you're looking for those types of apartments, then pretty much any city is good to invest in. But remember, once you've chose these, it will whether it's cash flow or capital growth will dictate what city it's in, yeah, okay? HMOs, so different types of HMOs. So you've got student HMOs, you've got professional lets, you've got local authority HMOs where it gets given to a local authority. So again, depending on what type of HMO you want to do would depend on what city you go to. So if you want students, then you go to a student town. Cardiff, Coventry, Nottingham, Manchester, Birmingham. Lots of kind of hubs, if you like, where students all want to live. And so not only there, you can get regular houses that you could buy and convert to a HMO and then rent them out. You could do commercial to HMO in those areas and rent them out, okay? So you'll find those around the university towns and cities. So just basically pick a university and then start searching within that area. Don't go more than about a mile away because lots of students don't travel. So unless there's a bus route, they're going to be walking. So make sure you're in that area. But there are bargains to be had because you can, maybe go 2 or 3 streets away and find a residential property that, is for sale. Particularly if you use any of our methods of getting the properties before they go on the market, then you can get in there before other investors, get the property, convert it to a HMO, rent it to students. And that's one place to find them, one strategy. Okay, so serviced accommodation is you're going to be really appealing to 2 types of people. That is either going to be the booking.com people that just want to go there for leisure, or for people that are working somewhere during the week. So construction workers, office workers, they're the types of people that will be interested in that. And again, you want to stick to major fairly major towns and cities, okay? If there's a hospital being built, then great. Serviced accommodation or HMO. Yeah, so in Birmingham, there's a brand new hospital being built that's near Smethwick. Brand new, huge hospital. It's not completed yet, but any property near there will be rented out to construction workers now. And then when they all go, what do you think you can do then? Not doctors and nurses. So buy it now, rent to the construction people, and then change it over afterwards and make it a HMO. So you have to think ahead. Single lets, that really does apply to, so single lets applies to these. So if you want single lets with cash flow, that's exactly what we spoke about originally, yeah, then look in the areas like I said. So single lets with cash flow, northeast is going to be the best. Refurbs and flips, so that can be any area really. I always say a deal is a deal. So any area, it doesn't matter whether it's London or if it's the northeast. Yeah, as long as there's a deal, then you can pretty much pick any area you want. So how do you find them? So if you want to be mentoring students, then you'll kind of know all the secrets of how to find them before anybody else does, and are not on market. But if you're just watching this video and you're not one of my students, then the easiest way to find them is you can look at auctions, you can drive around and see abandoned properties, you can look on Rightmove to see properties that have been up for sale for more than 6 months, and you can sort by date on there. So That's how you find the refurbs and flips. And again, it doesn't really matter the area because you're just going to be flipping it on. One thing you do want to make sure though is before you buy it, make sure you get your figures right, numbers right. Make sure you know what I would call the MRV, the maximum retail value is. What is the value for that street? So whatever you're going to buy, what is the maximum price that the street can command, okay? You know, if you put Buckingham Palace in another street to where it is now, it's not going to be worth the same as it is now. And likewise, if I take my house and put my house next to Hyde Park, it might, you know, it might be worth 5 times the amount, okay? So always know your figures, know what your MRV is, know what you're going to buy it for, and then what you're going to spend on the refurb and flip. So get your numbers right on that one there. Okay guys, so I hope that's been really useful. If you've been watching my channel now, I always try and provide the maximum amount of value I can. I really want to help you guys, and I want to just kind of part my knowledge onto you guys. So keep watching, keep tuning in, and all I ask for in return is hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video.